Welcome back, everyone. In this video, we're going to continue writing our Lambda function. But before we do, I did promise to get back to you on Amazon Q. And Amazon Q is a paid subscription. There are different packages starting from $3 to $19 a month. And right now in Lambda function, I am using a free tier version. And I don't know how long that's going to last. AWS is fairly generous with their free tier. But that doesn't mean that, anyone watching this video in the future might have access to it for free. Right now, since it's fairly new, Amazon Q is, which is AWS's LLM / code suggester. It's free in the Lambda environment for right now. But again, I don't know how long it's going to be free for. So if you have it, great for you. And if you don't, I actually wouldn't suggest paying even $3 per month because I don't think it's worth it. Paying for other services like ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude, I think it's a lot better than paying for Amazon Q. So I wouldn't recommend you getting it. It does some code completion in Lambda, but other than that, I did not find it to be as helpful. So, it's up to you whether you want to buy it or not. But I'm using the free tier in Lambda. And again, I don't know how long we're going to have access to the free tier. Okay, so now I have read in the CSV using the string IO format, which is basically converts it into CSV data, which then we can read in as a data frame. Okay, and now let's say that df, and I'm going to do fine dining is going to be equal to df and fine dining. I'm going to do str.strip dot, and I'm going to do lower. Now what's happening over here? Well, remember from our CSV that we looked at, the restaurant CSV, we had two columns. One was called fine dining and the other one was called city. And what I'm doing right now is I'm stripping any white spaces and I'm making this into lowercase, okay? So this just to show that, you can technically have any name you want in your columns. You can strip the white spaces and then you can make it lower, essentially to normalize the columns for comparison when we apply the filters later on. Okay, and I'm going to do this same thing for the city column. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to switch it to city. And now we did the same thing. So every value that we're going to get in the columns is going to be stripped of white spaces and we're going to make it into lowercase. Awesome. And now what we're going to do is apply the filters. Okay. Remember, the filters are what city we want to dine in and whether we want a fine dining experience or not. Okay. So I'm going to say if there's a city, then what I want to do is the data frame is going to be equal to, and actually I'm going to take this suggestion, is going to be equal to, right now, we're accessing and essentially getting all the values in a list form of the cities that match the city criteria. So essentially what we're doing is we're accessing the city column in our restaurant CSV. And if you need help, it's over here. We're accessing the city column over here. And we're going to say where the city that we got from the parameters, remember, which we got from over here. So this could be Houston or Los Angeles or New York. We're going to say return to me where the city in the data frame is equal to the city from the parameters, okay, that we got over here. And again, we're just doing the same thing. We're stripping any white spaces and we're making it into lowercase, okay? And now I'm also going to say if there's a fine dine option, then, and I'm going to take this suggestion as well, then the data frame is going to be equal to, we're accessing the fine dine and we're going to, essentially, we're doing the same thing. We're setting it equal to whatever the parameters are. So fine dine, this parameter is either going to be yes or no. Okay. So what we're doing is we're accessing the fine dining column and we're returning all the values where fine dine is equal to the parameter. And remember, fine dine is going to be equal to yes or no. So we're just applying these filters. Okay? Now, once we have this, we're going to say that the filtered underscore data is going to be equal to json.dumps, and then we're going to do df.toDict and orient equals records, and we're going to say that the default is going to be equal to str, which is string. So essentially what we're doing right now is we're converting the filtered results to a JSON. So if this was not in a JSON format, then the LLM would not be able to read it. Okay, so if this doesn't make sense, feel free to get and print out the data frame without converting it into the JSON format. Okay, so you can just print out the df, and you can also print out the type of the df, not the head, just the df, and this will give you a good understanding as to what's going on. But for right now, trust me that what we're doing is essentially we're converting the results into a format that the LLM is able to understand, which is JSON. So we have essentially converted it into a JSON. And now what we're going to do is set up the response body. Response body is going to be equal to, and we're going to say that the text, actually it needs to be in dictionary format. And once we have the text inside the response body, then we need to open it up. This is very confusing because this is a very specific way that the LLMs in Amazon Bedrock expect the results to be in. So you need to have it exactly like I do. And this is going to be equal to the filtered data. And so this is the response body right now. And actually, that should move out over here. So this is the body. It needs to be in a text, and the body should have the filtered data, which is this. And remember, this is just the JSON results. And once we have the response body, then we can get the action response, which is also something that we need. And the action response is going to be equal to the action group, and that's going to be the action group. And then we also need the function, which is the function. And we also need the function response, which is going to be the response body. So over here, we're going to have the response body, and that's going to be equal to the response body. And actually, when we started this video, do you guys and girls remember when I deleted everything? Yeah, so I did delete everything, but this part, for example, is already pre-made by the Lambda. So in the future, you don't have to get rid of this. I just wanted to code out the Lambda from scratch. But do know that this action response with all the action group, the function, and the response body was already pre-made for you. So I know it's hectic, but it was already pre-made, so it's my fault that, I deleted it. Now I'm going to say that the dummy function underscore response, I'm going to name it dummy function because as you can see, the name of it that was given is dummy-lambda.py. So feel free to rename it however you want to. So the dummy function response is going to be equal to, and we're going to open up the brackets, and it's going to be equal to, it's going to have a response, which is going to be equal to the action response. So everything that we have defined in the action response. And keep in mind that the response body is this response body, which has our filtered data. Okay, so now we have the action response. We also need the message version, which is what we get from the event message version. And I'm going to talk about what the event is. Message version. Okay, and so remember, this event is what we have over here in the Lambda. From the event, we get the agent, the action group, the function, and the parameters. And in the event, we also have something, the message version, and that's also something important for the LLMs. Okay, so now what we can do is we can return the dummy function response, which is this. And remember, we put everything in a try block. So now we have to get the except keyword as well. And actually, it recommended it to me just right there. Okay, that's the one thing I don't like about Lambda functions. It's really hard to see where the block is. So we need to find this line, and we're going to say accept, and I'm going to accept what the what Amazon Q suggested for me. So it's going to accept the exception as E, and then it's going to print the error, and then it's just going to return a status code of 400, and the body is simply going to be error processing the request. Okay, but actually the body should have the error in it as well. So I'm going to have an F string over here, and then I'm going to say error, and that's going to be the E for the error. So right now we're error processing the request and the error, and we just pass in E, which is the exception or the error, however you want to call it. So I know this was very hectic, and in the next Lambdas, we're not going to delete everything, and we're going to, keep this part, which was pre-made for us. We're going to keep this part, which was pre-made for us. So I know this was super hectic, and I hope you were able to follow, but essentially what we're doing in this Lambda function is we're extracting the parameters, we're converting it into a dictionary so we can easily access them, and then we're just applying the filters. Okay, so if we have the city, then we return where the city is equal to that city, and if we have find dine, then we also just simply return that option. Okay, so I hope this was not super hectic, and I will see you in the next video. But before we do that, make sure you click on the deploy button to save this. And now we should be done. Now it successfully updated the function, so feel free to exit out of this. I will see you in the next video.